Hi, in this video I want to look at sigma. Now, that's something that you all met. You might have met it mostly in your statistics where the mean was 1 over n sigma x I fi. And you will have realized it means some sort of sum, add something up. Some of you might not realize that it means much more than that. So let's have a little look at an example so that we all understand exactly what we mean by sigma. Let's take sigma r equals 2 to 4 of minus 1 to the power of r times 2 to the r. Okay, I would like you all to work that out. Just pause the video now, work that out on a piece of paper. When you've done it, start the video again. So pause the video. Well, did you manage to do that? The principle is quite simple. We simply take the bottom number of the sigma, r equals 2, and we have minus 1 to the 2, 2 to the 2. So that's minus 1 squared times 2 to the 2. Then we put a plus, that's what the sigma bit does. We look at the next number up, which is 3. We get minus 1 to the 3, 2 to the 3. So that is minus 1 cubed times 2 to the 3. Plus, for the next term, the next number up is 4, minus 1 to the 4, 2 to the 4, and that's the last number. So we stop. Working that out, minus squared is plus 4, minus cubed is minus 8, and minus to the 4 is plus, 2 to the 4 is 16. That is going to give us 12. Not a difficult idea, but you must make sure that you really understand what's going on. Now let's look at one or two standard theories. Let's take, for starters, one that you've met before. S equals sigma 1, r equals 1 to n of r. What's that going to be? If I put r equal to 1, I get 1. Put r equal to 2, I get 2. Put r equal to 3, I get 3, etc. And I carry on, getting up towards the end. If I put r equal to n minus 2, r equal to n minus 1, and r equal to n. Now that is a perfectly ordinary arithmetic series, and you could use the formula to add that up. I prefer to do it by writing everything down backwards. So I'm going to write the same thing down backwards. S is equal to n minus 1, n minus 2, keep going, and then it's going to be 3 plus 2 plus 1. If I add these up, then I will get that s plus s is 2s, twice what I'm looking for. If I take the first little pair, n plus 1 is n plus 1. N minus 1 plus 2 is also n plus 1. N minus 2 plus 3 is n plus 1. And all the numbers, when you add them together, will give you n plus 1. So we've got n plus 1 plus n plus 1 plus n plus 1, dot, 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 dot. Can't be bothered with those two, n plus 1. So we've got n plus 1 every single time. That means we have n lots of n plus 1, and therefore S, which is the sum, r equals 1 to n of r, is a half n plus 1. You've met that one before. It is actually the formula for the nth triangular number, but you've probably forgotten that. One more formula, which is actually a very, very simple one. What is sigma r equals 1 to n of 1? Just think for a moment. When r is 1, this is 1. Well, it doesn't change. When r is 2, this is 1. When r is 3, it's 1. So this is just 1 plus 1 plus 1 until we've written down n ones. In other words, sigma r equals 1 to n. 1 is n. Not a very earth-shattering result, but one that you will need when we're doing our sigma algebra. I'm now going to look at a few rules for dealing with sigmas. The first one deals with sigma 3 times r. R is 1 to n. Well, let's see what that actually is. If we put r equal to 1, first term is 3 times 1. R equals 2, second term is 3 times 2. R equals 3, third term is 3 times 3, and so on until we get up to 3 times n. Well, we know how to handle that. We can write it as 3 times 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus all the way up to n. And that is just 3, and then add up, in other words, sigma, all the numbers between 1 and n. And so we have that sigma 3r from 1 to n is 3 times sigma r. Next, I want to deal with two formulae which are easily confused and people get them wrong. So let's look at these. First one I want to look at is sigma 3r plus 1 from r equals 1 to n. Just think how you would work that out. And having thought about that, look at this one. What's the difference? This is where we need to be very careful. The top one is sigma 3r, r equals 1 to n, and then add 1. So that is very definitely different to the bottom one. Let's carry on with this top one. That is 3 sigma r from 1 to n plus 1. And from what we did earlier, this is 3 times half n, n plus 1 plus 1. Right, now let's look at the one below. Well, you didn't bring the n down. The first term of this is 3 times 1 plus 1. The second term, r equals 2, is 3 times 2 plus 1. The third term is 3 times 3 plus 1. Until we get right up to the end, the last term is 3 times n plus 1. Well, I've got, if I look at the terms with a 3 in, 3 times 1, 3 times 2, 3 times 3, 3 times n, that is equal to 3 times 1 plus 2 plus 3 up to plus n, as we had before. And if we look at the rest, we've got 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. We've got plus n lots of 1. And so this gives us 3 times a half n, n plus 1, plus n. So it is essential that you learn how to cope with these. Basically, your sigma applies through multiplication. Sigma 3 times r, the sigma is still there, plus, now the sigma stops. As soon as you meet a plus or a minus, the sigma stops. Sigma 3 times r, they're all in the sigma, plus, nope, we've stopped. If we want to include the 1, we have to put it in brackets. One other thing I'd like to look at before I leave this one, remembering that sigma r equals 1 to n is n over 2 n plus 1, which we've just used. How can we use that formula to find sigma 100 to 200 of r? A lot of people think that we do sigma 100 to 200 and subtract 1 to 100. That is wrong. Well, let's show you why that's wrong. Let's get rid of it first. What I've written down here, the first term is r equals 100, plus the next term is 101, plus 102, and I keep going until I get 200. Well, this is equal to 1 plus 2 plus 3. If I take all the numbers up to 200 and then subtract all the numbers 1 plus 2 plus 3 all the way up to, now if I go all the way up to 100, I've taken away 100, and I don't want to take away 100, I want it. So I can only go as far as 99. This now is sigma r equals 1 to 200 of r, and subtract r equals 1 to 99. So that is where you have to be careful doing these. The formula is at the top of the board or the top of the page. If I put r equal to 200, it's starting at r equals 1 now, and the formula starts at r equals 1. So I've got 200 over 2 times 200 plus 1 minus sigma 1 to 99. I get 99 over 2 times n plus 1 is times 100. And if you press your buttons on that, you get 15150.